Welcome in to the Arrowhead Addict podcast. I am Matt Verderame. He is Ben Heisler. It is how to bet the Chiefs and the 49ers. The Chiefs' best bets with BetSided. Week 7 already here, and we have the first game of the week is going to be Saints and Cardinals, which is nothing but terror and deep emotional pain. But we will have the Chiefs and Niners later this week. I think it's probably the best game of the weekend. I don't even think it's really arguable.
We
So
talked about it on
right.
Tuesday, Verderame, that this might be one of the worst slates of football that we've seen in quite some time.
Yes, it is
The
not good.
Done week.
Yeah, this is right. If this is a week where you've been putting off like raking up the leaves, if you've been putting off spending time with the family for whatever reason, sorry about that. Spam call, always fun. Then it's probably a good time to do it. But if you're a Chiefs fan, as I'm assuming you are if you're here, it's an important game because the Chiefs play the Niners. You're tied for first place right now in the AFC West. And after this game, the Chiefs have a bye week. So you want to get right and get to 5-2 and then get into the bye. And then after the bye week, really, the schedule becomes much easier. So good news to the Chiefs all around.
Yeah, I'm fascinated in this game because I'm never entirely sure which 49ers team is going to show up. And I don't know if you can necessarily say the same thing about the Chiefs. I know they're 2-4 against the spread this year. And I think most Chiefs fans would have the certain expectation that they should go and blow out pretty much every team that they play. The reality is the NFL just doesn't work like that. Unless you're the Buffalo Bills, which every win you have is almost always going to be covering the spread. There's going to be closer games than you anticipate. There's going to be weird swings and momentum shifts. Like football is just one of those sports where it can hang on just one immediate turnover that completely shifts the dynamic of the game. And the 49ers, I think what's going to be fascinating, we'll dive into how both of us are planning to bet this game, what trends you need to know heading into it. There's still not a lot of prop bets out, so we'll make sure that any ones that we're going to be playing, we'll keep you posted on the Arrowhead Addict Discord chat. I think what's fascinating is that they're going up against another really solid front four in San Francisco. Yep. It gets a lot of pressure, and a team that also is very good at stopping the run. Now, that's not necessarily a huge concern for Kansas City because they're rotating backs in. Mahomes still has opportunities downfield. But I don't know. Do you think, Verderame, that this is something that this type of a matchup, especially after a really physical game against Buffalo, that this is something that the Chiefs should be concerned about? Because this is also the same 49ers front that got walloped on the road by what was expected to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Atlanta's been one of those teams that has hung in every game, and they have a running scheme right now that works very well. I almost wonder if the Chiefs might pick a few things up along the way. That's something that they've always taken a lot of pride in doing, is finding something that works, even if it's not necessarily their own scheme, and using it and taking advantage of it for the next week's matchup.
I mean, yeah, I think the Chiefs should be concerned about this game because the 49ers are really beat up. But the 49ers play a style of football that the Chiefs don't love to play. They defensively are going to get after you. Now, the one thing that should be said in this game, the Niners are beat up to an extent that it really does alter the game. Armstead is not going to play. Kinlaw is on IR. Jimmy Ward, if he does play, he's going to have a club on his broken hand. Travarius Ward didn't practice on Wednesday. He has a groin pull. Don't know if he's going to play. Nick Bosa, limited in practice. He might play. He's dealing with a groin injury. Hufanga has a concussion. He might not play. I mean, this is – and Emmanuel Mosley, their other starting corner, is out. He's a torn ACL. I mean, that's almost everybody on the team outside of the linebackers. I mean, I listed literally, I think, 7 guys right there. So, if you're the Chiefs, you're sitting there saying, look, if you can't take advantage of that, you ought to quit. The other side of it is teams have had a lot of success running up the middle because Armstead and Kinlaw aren't there. The Chiefs have a great interior. I have zero faith that Andy Reid will run the ball to the middle of the field. Zero. They don't do it. They don't like to do it. I've been spending most of the week saying I think the Chiefs' biggest problem is their coaching staff. And I truly believe that. I swear to you, I think it is their biggest problem. If they don't coach well in this game, they will lose this game. they need to take advantage of some of the things. Now, maybe they're so beat up, the Niners are, that the Chiefs can just throw the ball on them at will and they get away with it. But the other side of the field concerns me even more because the Niners are going to line up and run the ball at the Chiefs. And if the Chiefs are not ready for Kyle Juszczyk and Kittle to be another blocker, they're going to have big problems. So they're going to have to adjust.
Matchup's interesting in the sense of what this line has moved to. I'm curious to get your perspective on where it sits right now. Give you a little bit of background. The original look-ahead line, and for anybody that's kind of new to the betting world, there's always going to be an opening line from several months in. And by the way, Pete, he agrees with you, Verderame, that there's an aspect to this game where you know that there's going to be a serious emphasis on running the ball from San Francisco. Like we talk about it all the time on like, well, you know that the best way to attack Kansas City is to keep Mahomes off the field. It's easier said than done, but that's kind of what the 49ers try to do every week. So I think that aspect of knowing what's coming from San Francisco and then being able to not bite on play action is going to be really interesting as well. Here's where the opening line first came out. It was Chiefs -1. And then, they close it once the season starts, and it opened again on Sunday at -1.5. Once the 49ers lost to Atlanta, the line moved all the way up to Chiefs -3. And it sat there, and there's still some books that have it at -3. It has gone down just a tad to -2. We've also seen the over go from 47.5 to 48.5. Again, it's not much of a shift in the sense that 47 is the biggest key number on the board. That's where I think the number one total score tends to come in. So you were already kind of on that opposite side. If you were looking to go over, you were already past 47, but now it's sitting at 48.5. Right. But I think there was an immediate movement after watching San Francisco really just waste away in a game that they should have pounded Atlanta. And now I think you're starting to see sharps come in a little bit later on the 49ers side. But do you think this number makes sense at 2.5? Because I kind of think that's where it should be.
Yeah. I think it's a fair line. The Niners are weird because the Niners offensively, yards per play wise, they're 10th in the league. The Chiefs are 6th. So by that number, you look at them and go, okay, they're pretty proficient at moving the football. Their passing offense has not been good. They're 25th in the league in completion rate. Passing yardage, they're 21st. Now, granted, they had a game in there where it was like a monsoon against Chicago, so you also have to kind of factor that in a little bit.
Right.
You think of them as a great running team. They've been pretty pedestrian as a running team. I mean, they're averaging the same amount of yards per carry as the Chiefs are, 4.4, right? Smack dab in the middle of the league. So all this is what I have two more stats, and I'll dive into it here. The Chiefs are second in the league in third down percentage, 50%. The 49ers are 15th, 40.5. And then red zone percentage, Chiefs are second best red zone offense in football. Niners are 14th. I say all this to get to a point. The Niners, I expressed my concern earlier about the Chiefs and how they're going to have to play this game and whatnot. The Niners have one problem in this game that if I'm a 49ers fan would scare me to death. If they get behind by any reasonable amount in this game, they're cooked. Because they are so reliant on playing a certain way and a certain brand of football that if they can't do it and Jimmy G's got to drop back 40 times, it's curtains. Like they have to be able to stay in front in this game. So I think I always try to look at like how many ways can you win in this game. I think the Chiefs have more avenues to win this game than the Niners do. The Niners have to be able to get a relentless pass rush because I don't think they can cover the Chiefs, not with all the injuries. They've got to be able to stay in front or at least within, 3 points, 6 points, something like that. If they get down 20-10, game's over. They're not going to be able to do what they need to do. So I think the Chiefs being favored by 2.5 is fair. To go higher than that, you start getting into a weird territory because I do think the Chiefs should be favored. I think they're better. I think they're markedly better with the injuries. But as you pointed out earlier, and you're right, the Niners are weird I wouldn't be shocked if they were right in this game to the end, and I wouldn't be shocked if Kansas City went out there and really laid it on them. Like, anything in that range is completely within reason.
So some numbers to know for both these teams going into this matchup as far as different trends are concerned. Chiefs are only 2-4 against the spread this year. 49ers are 3-3. What's interesting is that the Chiefs against the spread plus minus, basically the amount of times in which they've covered and sort of the margin of the margin of victory there is plus 2.2, which is 10th best in the NFL. So they're on the positive side of regression coming, right? What that tells you is that if they're among the worst teams in covering the spread, but they're still plus 2.2, which is 10th best, right, some of those numbers eventually are going to fix up over time. Mahomes is 4-7 in his last 11 starts against the spread. Chiefs in general are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games. If you're looking for a play on the total, which might be part of the reason that it's moved from 47.5 to 48.5, the over is 6-1 in Kansas City's last 7 games on the road, 10-4 to the over in their last 14 games overall. And then the Chiefs are 16-17 against the spread as a favorite on the road since the start of 2018, which was Mahomes' first year as a starter. Couple notes on San Francisco that I think are worthwhile. Jimmy Garoppolo, for all his faults, is 14-6, both straight up and against the spread as an underdog in his career. Evan Abrams of the Action Network always puts together a lot of really interesting notes. I love this one. You'll get a kick out of this one too, Verderame. So they have identified party cities in the NFL as Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Atlanta, New Orleans, and Miami. Yep. Teams that have played in those cities the week after are 240, 330, and 15 against the spread the following week. So that bodes in favor of Kansas City. San Francisco coming off of a bad week in Atlanta. Also worth considering, 49ers at home, very good against the spread, 6-0 in their last 6 home games, 6-1 against the spread versus teams above 500. And Kyle Shanahan is a home underdog, 9-7-0. A lot of these trends right now, Verderame, favor the 49ers.
Yeah.
A lot of them do. And I think that's worthwhile, especially in this type of game, knowing how they tend to play at home against above 500 teams.
You know, I'll be honest with you. If the Niners were healthy, I'd probably pick them to win the game. I think the problem for the Niners is the trends don't factor in. The Niners just beat up. Just really, really, really beat up. And look, I also think it doesn't help them that the Chiefs are coming off a loss. If the Chiefs had beaten Buffalo, I might be more inclined to pick Buffalo or to pick San Francisco. But also, excuse me, I have no voice anymore. Make no mistake. I think the Niners can absolutely win this game. I mean, this idea that like the Niners are just this team that can't possibly win, I've seen from a lot of Chiefs. It's like, they'll win this game. Look, I think they should win this game, but the Niners are a tough team. That is not going to be an easy game. And the biggest fear from a Chiefs perspective I have is coaching. And the Niners are going to line up with Kittle and basically use him as a 6th offensive lineman, and they're going to have Juszczyk, and they're just going to run power. And if the Chiefs aren't able to defend it, they're going to run it right down their throat for 200 yards. They will relentlessly do that in this game. The Chiefs get Willie Gay back, and that's fine. But you go and watch the film of that Bills game, which I've now watched most of. The Chiefs' defensive line just can't get off the block ever. I mean, guys are they look like those games. You ever had one as a kid? It was like the magnetic field, and it would like shake if you plugged it in. And I think that's what the Chiefs D line looks like. Like they just kind of like shake across the field, and these linemen just kind of move them across, and then everybody's killing Nick Bolton right now. Listen, that's fine. Nick Bolton hasn't played particularly well the last few weeks. Nick Bolton's got centers climbing to the second level without having to do anything because nobody can get off the block. So you have this problem where guys aren't getting touched for 5, 6, 7 yards. Well, if that happens against the 49ers, Chiefs are going to lose this game because the Niners they won't even throw the football. And that if the Chiefs stop them from running the ball, they'll win the game. They'll win. The Niners just cannot do enough in the passing game. But if they can't stop the run, I mean, the Niners had a playoff game the year they went to the Super Bowl and faced Kansas City. They ran the ball every play but 8 times.
Yeah.
They will do it. Like they will just line up and run you over. And if the Chiefs aren't prepared for that, schematically and from a physicality standpoint, they will lose the game.
Question comes in from Keith. Says you expect to see a lot of Debo runs. I do. I mean, it's just everything that we just discussed. The idea that if they're going to be able to go ahead and take their running game,
Right.
establish it from day one, and open up play action, like that's what Shanahan does. Like Shanahan's system thrives off of play action, getting the ball out quickly, screens. I mean, and there may not be anybody better other than perhaps Tyreek Hill off of a screen or off of one of those just quick passes where you can get him in space. And Samuel's a bowling ball, like especially being able to try and bring him down. One of the best wide receivers in the NFL for yards after contact.
Yep.
I don't know how they don't factor him in constantly in this game. Like they haven't set out any sort of rushing yards or combined rushing and receiving yards. And Debo Samuel to score an anytime touchdown right now at FanDuel is basically a little bit above even, plus 110. And most guys in the NFL, unless you're, Derrick Henry or, Jonathan Taylor when he's healthy most weeks, or Christian McCaffrey, it's not often that you find players that are either at even odds to score a touchdown or, at minus odds. Debo Samuel's right there. And I would bet that number actually probably gets closer to even odds as the week goes on.
I'd take him to score a touchdown. Look, they typically run about 4 times a game on average. I could see them run them 6 times in this game, something like that. I mean, they're going to run the ball. I can't stress this enough in this game. If Kansas City cannot stop them from running the football, they will literally run the ball every play. Like they will just pound it and pound it. And if the Chiefs can't tackle and can't get off blocks, they will run them over like a freight train in this game. Like that is the one thing which, and now all of a sudden Mahomes has the ball for 20 minutes because, time possession just went out the window because the Niners have it 8 minutes per drive. So if you're the Chiefs, look, the one thing about this game, there's not a whole lot of mystery to it. I mean, you know what the Niners are going to try to do. If you're the Chiefs, you know what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to sit in base defense, and you're going to have to play defense against the run. And the last 2 weeks, they have gotten absolutely run over at the point of attack in their base defense by teams, including Buffalo, who don't even like to run the football.
Right.
And the Bills just ran them over. Now, the one thing the Chiefs did have success with against Buffalo is stop the run. They just started run blitzing like crazy, and it curtailed Buffalo. I would expect the Chiefs to do the same thing to the Niners because they'll just basically say, look, we'll play single coverage with your guys. We're not scared of Garoppolo. I think even with Samuel and Ayuk, that's probably the right decision. Like, just play single high safety and just put 8 guys in the box and say, you know what, if he beats us one time deep down the field, fine. Like, we'll live with it because Garoppolo's also going to have 2 or 3 throws in this game where some guy is wide open and he just missed.
Right.
I mean, I think if you're the Chiefs, the more you can make this game about Jimmy Garoppolo, the better you're feeling. So I would expect that the Chiefs will live with getting beat occasionally in the passing game to just try and do everything they possibly can to shut the run game off. And I think that's the right decision. I think that if you're Spagnuolo, you trade 3 plays in the game that go for 75 to 100 yards in the passing game if it means really creating a lot of long down and distances. I think you would live with that, which maybe you wouldn't in most games. In this game, I think you would.
So let's say they go with that philosophy on defense, that they sell out to stop the run, force Garoppolo to beat you downfield. Let's say all of this is true. If we expect that to be the case as bettors, the first prop that I am running towards at whatever sportsbook you can find it at will probably be Jimmy Garoppolo to throw an anytime interception. Like, because that's a given that it will be in at least, if I was setting the over-under on the amount of times that a Chiefs player in the secondary, or even one of their linebackers, have the ball literally in their hands from a Garoppolo throw, I'd set it at 2.5. Like, someone's going to come down with the ball at some point. He forces too many throws downfield that he just doesn't have. And if the Chiefs close in on it, that's a pick. So that's already, again, the props aren't available yet. We'll make sure that whatever props we decide to play, we'll put them on the Arrowhead Addict Discord channel. But in Garoppolo, even at home, in situations where as an underdog, he's been terrific That's almost going to be an automatic play for me this week.
I'll tell you one thing. The Chiefs have one pick all year long. So you're
They're due.
They're due. They better be. They have one pick. That is one thing this defense has been awful with. They don't force turnovers.
Hey, you brought up something with my buddy Carrington Harrison on his show at 610 Sports Radio here in Kansas City, and I was curious to bring it up because I do think it might offer some potential opportunities for value in the prop market this week. You had talked about obviously the news regarding Travis Kelce's restructuring, and the mentioning of it being not necessarily for a move, although they haven't ruled it out. And good on Travis and Jason Kelce for playing up their podcast and hinting that Odell Beckham Jr. might be coming. Like they're so good at what they're doing right now and hyping themselves up and getting some notice that I commend them for that. But you also brought up Andy Reid's discussion about rookie playing time, in particular with Sky Moore and Isaiah Pacheco. And that even though they're saying one thing, the indication that they're just not getting the playing time is much more reflective of what people should be paying attention to. He did go and address Sky Moore's lack of snaps this week, saying, like, this is something that you want to take a patient approach with, but they see more opportunities for him in the future, perhaps even this week. I guess my question is, do you buy it?
No.
Okay. Because then
I think they're completely full of shit, but you go ahead.
Okay. So that's important, especially for anybody that says, oh, Sky Moore is getting more recognition.
I mean,
they're trying to find ways to force him the ball. Maybe he's worth an anytime touchdown bet.
I think at some point that yes, if you're asking, I guess I should qualify my answer with this. I think they're full of crap if you're talking about like the next handful of weeks. Now, the bye's coming up. So maybe after the bye, like maybe after this week, maybe. But as far as this week goes, no, I don't think so. Because they've not proven it. Like look, it's like, so here, I'll try to give a fun example of this. My wife has this fun habit of just opening a cabinet and then just leaving the cabinet door open. And it drives me insane. I've mentioned this approximately 800 times since in the 5 years we've been married. Oh yeah, I'll shut the cabinet door. Sorry, okay. Ain't never gonna happen. That cabinet door is gonna be open until I'm dead. That's it. I've accepted it at this point. Like she just, it's not. She doesn't do it on purpose. She's just. And the funny thing is, she's a very neat person, but she, for whatever reason, cabinet doors is just a bridge too far for her. And I've accepted that, just like she's accepted that I am never gonna put my cereal bowl in the dishwasher. It's going right in the sink. These things happen. Okay. I have accepted, as annoying as it makes me, or as annoyed as it makes me, excuse me, Andy Reid waits forever to play guys. So does Steve Spagnuolo, okay, unless they're on the line. The Chiefs have had a history of playing rookie offensive linemen. Otherwise, they have their guys, and they're going to play their guys. I mean, Tyreek Hill, as a rookie, had like 600 receiving yards. They waited basically 2/3 of the year before they allowed Tyreek Hill to become anything more than a return man and a gadget player. Okay? Tyreek Hill, it took them a full year for them to be like, okay, geez, maybe get him the ball a little bit more. The defense, that's been a long-standing thing with Spags, and he doesn't have much of a choice this year. Okay? But in past years, they won't play kids right away. They have this thing about trust, and they've got to wait. I think Sky Moore, honest to God, could be the best receiver on the team outside of Kelce, but they won't put him on the field. They just like last week against the Bills. He made a couple nice plays. He had less snaps that week than the previous 2 weeks.
Yep.
Like they don't play him. They played him 20 snaps against Buffalo, and they played him more snaps than that against the Raiders and against the Bucs.
Same thing happened with Pacheco a couple of weeks ago too, where
Pacheco apparently is just passed on. Like they just won't put him on the field. I have no idea why. He's never fumbled. It's not about pass protection because that's McKinnon's job. They won't play him. They just will not. And then the guy goes out there and has like a 5 yards per carry average. Nope, that's it. Nailed to the bench. Can't play him.
Built for the goal line. Like McKinnon does a lot of things well for you.
Man.
McKinnon does a lot of things well for you. Like I get operating in pass protection, and yeah, you have Edwards-Helaire as a weapon in the passing game as well. It makes too much sense to put your most physical running back that still has that elite level speed inside the red zone, inside the 10, inside the 5. Like the fact that Pacheco has how many touchdowns this year? One? Maybe not even any. I have to double check.
I think
But
one, I believe, against the Cardinals.
one touchdown, week 1, makes and it's running back. Like how many running backs in their rookie season? Like that's when you want to play them, when they're young and healthy and vibrant, and before they just get the shit kicked out of them from the NFL. That's one. You mentioned Sky Moore as like possibly being the best wide receiver on the team outside of Kelsey. Like, would it shock you? Like, if you have a fantasy league and all of a sudden the playoffs are coming up and Sky Moore and Isaiah Pacheco are just sitting on the waiver wire and like, you know what? I got a couple guys that are on injured reserve. I'll put them on my bench. And then week 15 comes along and Sky Moore all of a sudden has that game. Like 2 touchdowns, return for just like that. That's kind of what we see happening in a similar vein. Like they're talented enough to do it with the team around them. You just hope that they get an opportunity to do it.
I felt this way for a while, but I've just kept myself in check on this because I feel like it sounds so stupid based on how Andy Reid will walk into Canton one day. By the way, Charles, thank you for joining us, man. Really appreciate it. The Chiefs coaching is their biggest problem. Their coaching is just not good. I'm sorry, it's not. Andy Reid is a great coach Monday through Saturday. He is a very mediocre coach on Sundays. They just make way too many mistakes. Like this team should not have the problems it has 9 times out of 10. I really feel that way. Like they shouldn't have the time management issues they have. They shouldn't have these bizarre play call situations where, they're trying to put the Buffalo Bills away and they're running swing passes on 1st and 2nd down, like not check downs. Like that's what we're trying to accomplish here is a swing pass out of the backfield to a back on 1st and 10 against some of the fastest linebacks in football. And then the personnel decisions are just insane. I mean, I could go on for an hour about that alone. Like it's almost like, honest to God, they actively just don't even think about this stuff. And they're like, I don't know. Outside zone, who's the slowest guy we have? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you put him in there. I mean, we did a film Friday on Arrowhead Addict that if you're a Ring of Honor member, you can see right now. If not, you can see it tomorrow. Like, I broke down an outside zone run with Edwards-Helaire. And if you watch this play, like we just finished talking about Pacheco, it is just maddening. It is so unbelievably frustrating that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like, honest to God, Pacheco might have scored a touchdown. Bare minimum, he's probably running for 10 to 15 yards. And if he makes the safety miss, he's gone.
Right.
And the Chiefs can't be bothered because, well, he's a rookie and he's a 7th rounder. Meanwhile, in the preseason, they treated the guy like he was Walter Payton. But then they get to the regular season, it's like, oh, God, well, but like what did he forget how to run a football? He's a running back. Like, what does he have to do? Hey, Isaiah, run this way. Okay, great. We're all set. I mean, I don't understand it. But look, the bottom line is, I think if they coach well in this game, they'll win. I have no idea what they're going to do in this game. If they have one of their better game plans, they'll win the game. And if they have one of their game plans where they come out and they act like they're like the Chargers, the first half of that game, where Steve Spagnuolo basically didn't know Mike Williams existed for the first 100 receiving yards. It was like, oh my God, he's a good player. We probably should double that guy. Like, if they do that, they will lose this game. And that is absolutely my biggest fear. Before we go any further, though, a quick read. Listen, guys, we're passing along an awesome promo for new FanDuel customers. Get $150 in free bets, plus you get a 3-month subscription to NBA League Pass when you place a $5 bet on any game when you use the promo code Arrowhead at sign-up. That's one word, Arrowhead. Maybe use it on the Chiefs, plus 2.5 this weekend if you're feeling cocky. Using our promo code, again, Arrowhead, is a great way to support Arrowhead Addict. We get a small fee from FanDuel for each new bettor that uses our code. So if you don't yet have a FanDuel account, do us a solid. Sign up with code Arrowhead and place that $5 bet. Just like we want to get paid, we want you to get paid. And we like FanDuel because you get paid fast and securely. The promotion is only available for a few days, so don't wait. All right, now I got to read the legalese here. Give me a second. I'm going to try to read it like one of those radio things where they speed it up. New customers only, 21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. In Arizona, dial 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In Connecticut, call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In Indiana, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. In Kansas, 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. In Louisiana, call 1-877-770-STOP. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. In Tennessee, dial 1-800-889-9789. And in Wyoming, call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.1800gambler.net. By the way, thank you very much. I also think it is hilarious that in Wyoming, it's .net. Like Wyoming just got the internet like an hour and a half ago. They're like, what? What?
We ran out of comms.
We got no .com. Oh, damn it. All right. Yeah, we'll take a .net.
Give me a net. Yeah, you can get a discount on it at GoDaddy.
Yeah.
By the way, even as what's cool about that FanDuel promotion, excuse me, I think whatever you have, I have.
I can't talk.
You can't. You don't necessarily have to be a new subscriber. Like if you've already set up a FanDuel account,
right,
you can still take advantage of the League Pass offer. Like I put in the amount needed for it and got it immediately. Like they turned it around super fast. I'm a big NBA guy. Watched a lot of League Pass. You always get like League Pass power ratings. If you're looking to bet on the league, head on over to BetSided. Peter Dewey, Donovan Smoot, our guys have been doing just an awesome job with NBA content. I think our NBA props so far this year are off to a 6-1 start through the first 2 games of the season. Again, it's 2 games in, but it's League Pass is just, if you can get it for free with this promotion, this is an absolute no-brainer. All right, Verderame, I got to run in a couple minutes, but I know that you have a best bet for the game. I have one as well. Let's give it to the people before we sign off for today. Where are you going with this one? Are you going total? You going spread? You taking Chiefs or 49ers on the money line? What's your thought here?
I actually am going to take the total. I'm going to take the under in the game. I'm going to take the under. 48.5 is a pretty big line. And the Niners have not scored more than 30 points except once this year, and that was aided by a pick 6 against Carolina, who might be the worst team in football. I don't see the Niners getting into even the high 20s in this game. I think if the Niners win, it's going to be because they just run like crazy and they keep the score low because teams are not getting as many possessions. I think if the Niners win, it's going to be like the same, basically what the Bills game was, like 24-20, 23-20. If the Chiefs win, I think you creep a little bit higher in the total, mostly because of how beat up the Niners are. But even still, I think it's probably something like 26-19, somewhere in there. So I don't think it's a slam dunk, but of all the bets, I like that one the best. I think it's probably the under bet.
I see the narrative for the game going the same way, where if the 49ers win this game, it's likely due to the fact that they're running the ball effectively. They're keeping the Chiefs defense on the field.
Yeah.
The under makes plenty of sense there. If the Chiefs win, you can see a scenario where Mahomes just goes full scorched earth, throws for 300-something yards, multiple touchdowns, takes advantage of a broken down 49er secondary. I took the Chiefs. That was one of my first bets of the week. I took them at -2.5. I wanted to make sure I got that number before it went to 3. Some books have it at 3. I think FanDuel still has it at 2.5. So for anybody that wants to take advantage of that FanDuel promotion that Verderame just mentioned and use the code Arrowhead, I think you can still get it at -2.5 there. Mahomes, I mentioned 9-7 against the spread following a loss. But what I found out is that their margin of victory in those games is plus 9.3, which is the highest in the NFL during that stretch. So when they bounce back, they put up a bunch of points, even if they don't necessarily cover the spread as a result of it. So yeah. I like the Chiefs offense to get back on track this week. Mahomes has said everything right that he's needed to say. They've clearly woken up after that game against Buffalo, even though I don't feel like it was a loss that they should feel real bad about. Buffalo's a damn good team, and they treated this game like a Super Bowl. So I do like the Chiefs at -2.5. I think the fact that there's still several books that have it at 3 tells you that it's still the right side to be on, even on the road against a good 49ers team.
Yeah, no, I know you got to run. I agree with you. For the record, by the way, I think the Chiefs win this game. I think they win it by, I don't know, 4 to 7 points. I think the under for me is a little safer play, but I think they win. But the Niners are just so beat up on defense. I think that's where. And by the way, it was mentioned by Buy Stocks here, who says SF +9 under big number tees. I'm with him. That's a good tease if you want to play that too. If you want to tease up the Niners to 8.5, and it tease you under, you cover the touchdowns. Even if the Chiefs win 27-20 or something, you're covered every way. But I think the Chiefs will win. But I think it'll be a game where you're very frustrated throughout a lot of the game. As it's like, oh, look at that, another 12-yard run for Jeff Wilson because the Chiefs are in nickel. So I think I'll leave it at that. All right. For Ben Heisler over at BetSided, I am at Verderame. I'll be back if my voice allows me to be at about 4 o'clock. So for Ben Heisler, I am at Verderame. Join us later, 4 o'clock. Myself, Patrick Allen. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll chat really, really soon.